is later, little bit more. That is on. If you look at the financial derivatives, I mean S&P 500 is one of them, and then foreign currency are another, and so that became very, very popular. And back in 1973, two people, one is black and another is Shows. Black died, and Shows is living, and he is in MIT. And so what they produced a option pricing model. Every time in finance, you'll see, by now you may realize this, you may not have thought that, but yeah, this is, I understand, but I never thought of that way, that every time in finance, we want to know what is the price of the things that you do. So when you are introduced bond, then you say, what is the price of bond? And you say it's the present value of coupons and the par. And you understood how to do the present value systems, that is time value of money. When you were introduced to stocks, similar thing. The first thing they said, that what is the price of stock? Correct? So everything that we do, we must know the price of it. And then we introduced another thing called efficient market. The price must equal value. And you know all of those, that is, if price is not equal to value, there will be trading, and the trading will make it equal to value, right? That means if a stock is overpriced, then obviously people will sell and it will come down to the value. If it is undervalued, then people will buy them and it will go up, right? The trading that you are doing right now is happening because of that. If they find this to be undervalued, they'll go for it, and then it starts to rise. And if they find this to be going overvalued, then they will sell. Right? This is the basic thing by which this is happening. By the way, did anybody have any chance to go to TNS data? Did anybody? TNS, time and sales data. You could see the beautiful play between bids and ask. Anyone? Try that. Try that. You'll see this, how this struggle goes on between the bulls and the bears. Okay. So then we said, now that you have been introduced to futures, what is the price of futures? So obviously you folks know that is the cost of carry model, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, when you say, all right, we are now moving into the territory of options. So what is the natural question? What is the price of options, right? And so people say, now that we know the moment we talk about price, immediately you'll have to talk about value, right? So if you see the value of something to be X, then price has to be equal to
X.
X, right? So when I talked about moneyness, if ST, that means spot price, is equal to strike price, do you see any value in there? just with that say to these two data points, ST minus X, if it is greater than 0, is the option is called in the money. ST minus X is equal to 0, then it is called at the money. When ST minus X is negative, then it is called out of the money, correct? So there is ITM options, there is ATM options, there is OTM options. And last time I posed a question, which option, ITM, ATM, OTM, would be most expensive, you think? Answer was, it came
In the
from,
money?
yeah.
In the money.
Sorry? Answer was, last time you provided me, was ITM, correct? In the money,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that is simple 2 data points. But Black and Scholes said that if it is 2 data points, ST minus X is greater than 0, there will be demand for it. But we cannot explain why would there be a demand for ATM options or OTM options. ST minus X is equal to 0 for ATM options, and ST minus X is less than 0 for OTM options, right? We cannot explain why there will be demand, because people will be willing to pay the price after calculating the value that it offers. It makes sense, right? Whenever you want to purchase something, it has to be valuable to you some way. So they couldn't explain. So they went deep. And in 1973, when option market came on in the world scene, and they looked at the options data, this is reality, look at the options price data, and then they devised a system called Black-Scholes option pricing model. And in there you'll see, we'll talk at length, in there you'll see there are 5 variables beside S and X. We have been talking about ST minus X. Those are the only 2 data points, 2 variables. But they introduce 5 variables in there, complicated math, and then they say price of option will be this. Now you will be obviously going through the calculations of Black-Scholes option pricing model, but in real life, you have a Texas Instrument or whatever that is, HB. I always recommend my students to have Texas Instrument, and there is a free app for those of you who are interested that has all the time value of money functions, cash flow functions, and so forth. And you can just, by the push of a button, you can figure out the price of many things, financial instruments there. There are other calculators that has option pricing model for Black and Scholes. You just put in, just like the way in time value of money, you put 4 inputs like, N, I, Y, N, I, PV, payments, and future value. You all know this, right? This is at the tip of your fingers, correct? You have done so many calculations in the past. Is that, am I wrong? Do you recall that in your financial calculators, there is a row, time value of money row, that has N, then I, then PV, then payment, and then future value? You put in 4 different inputs, you get the other one. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't be in this class without going through those, uh, many times you had to do, right? So same way Black-Scholes can be calculated. You put in 4 and then rest is 5. Okay. So this is the point I wanted to make, that you have to get the price of everything. So then if there is, if another instrument is introduced in financial market, what do you think they will first do?
Test it out.
Sorry?
They would test it out and
Yeah,
see
but
if it's actually true.
yeah, but what do you think they would do? If you go to anything, any market, if you look at any product, these are financial products. Bond is a financial product. Stock is a financial product. Futures too, but this is also known as risk management product. And then options. So what would be the first question? Now that you know that in finance, we always, whenever we are interested in any asset, we say, what is the price of this asset? Correct?
Yes.
So same way, when another concept is introduced, another product is introduced, you say, what is the price of this product? So obviously, you say price of the product is determined by the value it offers to you. So this is the thing there that I needed for you to understand. And then there are OTC market, because OTC is basically less regulated. And this is between people who are market leaders. And so then, of course, there can be, in an unregulated market, people can do something that is not looked at properly, and therefore crisis can happen. And that's what they are saying. Then regulation happens. Whenever there is a crisis, there is going to be regulations. Make sense? That is, whenever you need a market that has to have OTC component, so that freedom of choice, freedom of expressions takes place. So we, in this OTC, there can be also sometimes some crisis. So in 2008, that crisis they are mentioning here, 2008 crisis, there were something that happened. By the way, I have. Did any of you see Big Short movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Maybe whatever you have seen on your own, I will allow you to get some points for it, just to know what you understood by it. So I will open up after your test, that is movie credit. Okay? And I recommend that you see Big Short, because this is derivatives class, a Big Short, and tell me, what did you understand about this movie? So Jackson, I see that you saw that. Can you tell us a little bit what happened in that movie?
I mean, I have seen it, but I probably haven't seen it in like 3 years, so I don't remember the plot too well. I do remember it's a really good movie, so I'll definitely watch it again just so I can pick up on some of the things that I didn't really understand 3 years ago.
Exactly. And so what I'm saying here is whenever a thing in finance gets out of proportion, gets really out of proportion. And does it go out of proportion every so often?
Yes.
Does finance market time to time generate crisis for the whole society?
Yes.
Okay. So you need to know that. You need to know that and say, is it finance that is creating the crisis, or is it the users that are creating the crisis? And that is why I say that, well, if you, through some entertainment, you watch the movie for entertainment, but now that you have some background in derivatives, you look at it from that perspective and see whether you think that the crisis that we had was from the financial market or the users of financial market. Okay, so I needed to say that here. That is, it is that crisis for this financial market needs to be investigated really well. And so futures market, option market, they are all standardized, and because it reduces cost and improve efficiency. Do you need elaboration on those two? When you go to McDonald's here in Chicago, and then when you go to McDonald's in Utah, I mean, do you expect the same product there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are standardized, right? Do you expect the cost to be low?
Yes.
Nowadays, it's, I mean, getting up there, but so there's everything. So relatively low, because when you produce in a bunch, do you get economies of scale? You do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, then that reduces cost and improves efficiency. And then in this standardization, they will tell you what is the underlying expressions and option exercise prices, contract size, and price quote. Then there are various limits. In your trading challenge in here, you know the various limits are.
Sure.
That is, yes, you do.
Yes.
Yeah, you have limits. And the margin will tell you that, well, you cannot take any more contracts because you have reached the limit. So, but these position limits are even more than that. They tell you how many contracts you can hold. You cannot corner the market. And then number of options that can be exercised at a time, because that can send the market in turbulence. Maybe you are supplying too many underlying crude oil. There are crude oil options. So they would like to make sure the price is within limits. And then price limits. I mean, that is called limit up and limit down. When I did my first trading back in 90s, I mean, late 90s, I was doing some assets, and suddenly I was doing well, and suddenly the things started to move my direction, but then again it says they stopped trading. I say, why? They said there is a limit up movement. When a thing goes flying into a stratosphere, that means up in the sky, they say it cannot happen. So there was, like, in terms of cents, they do the limits that, like, soybean has let's say, what is the current price of soybean? Those of you who are trading soybean. Do you recall anybody? Let's say it is $8.
1054. 1054.
10,
Like 1054.
yeah, 1054. So, you know, one cents movement is what? $50?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you say, you look at the contract specifications. I showed you where to go, and you'll see they will say that, well, maybe $1 is the maximum limit it can go. So 1 cent is 50. So it's like 5,000. No more than that. So they market, suddenly it comes to you. You, as a trader, it doesn't come to you often because they do not reach that limit. And same thing is the limit down. And market, for me, it was a locked limit case because market stopped. And I asked why. And they said, well, it is because the limit down movement, limit up movement. Okay. And circuit breakers. Even after that, they would like to keep some sanity in the market. Even after that, they introduce circuit breakers. This is specified. Limit up and limit down movement are specified, but ahead of time. But circuit breakers, you do not know when the circuit breakers will hit. Maybe there is a sudden thing that happened. Let's say 9/11 happens, right? What do you think happened at that time? Market was stopped because people have no clue how to incorporate that information. It was such a new thing, new shock to the system. Okay. Now, what do you think about physical versus electronic trading? Does physical trading happen nowadays?
Yes, there's still the floor.
Yeah, but 99% of the trading is now done on electronic floor. And so the things that you go and see in, especially in CBOT and CME, will become a museum for the future. People will go in, let's say from 50 years from now and say, yeah, people used to come here and trade face to face. Whatever you're doing there, they're doing it face to face here. Okay, and that is pit. And sometimes pit trade have out trade, meaning that is, well, when somebody wants to buy and then other wants to sell and they do not meet, and then there is out trade. And the trading that you are doing electronically is happening on Globex. That was started by CME. And after CME pioneered that, then there are other electronic traded plays happened. And mechanics of trading, you know all of those types of orders: market order, limit order, good till canceled order, stop order, all or none order. Okay, so these are all, you can see them if you want, so that what kind of order you can place, and that will, drop down menu you can see. And these are all those that you can do. One, the market order and limit orders is about the prices, and good till cancel order, all or none order are about the timing. Okay. Whenever you start a trade, open interest generates or increased, and whenever you go out, open interest decrease. What is open interest? It is outstanding contract. So outstanding contract increases when you have open order to trade, and then when it is closed, then decreases. Okay. So
Excuse me, Professor.
yeah.
Oh, never mind. You already did it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. And whenever you say that, well, this is an offset, you see, you pass the derivative to someone, and whenever options is exercised, it goes out of the system, and physical delivery or cash settlement via assignment happens at expiration. So do you need elaboration on this? Like you have to buy soybean, and there is an option contract on soybean. So what kind of contract you want to buy? Is it call or put?
Call.
Yeah. So you have long call, right? Long call. And so because an option contract has two sides, call the long side, call the short side. Long call will say that, well, I would like to buy the underlying. Short call says that I give you the right to buy. And for that, they get the price, right? Now, the price that you pay as a buyer, long call holder price, pays the premium, correct? And short call holder receives the premium, right? Who do you think put a margin with the exchange? Who is endangering the exchange? Long call holder or short call holder?
Short call holder.
Yeah. So short call holder has to put up margin. Long call holder already pays the price, right? Regardless whether that call becomes favorable to the holder or whether it has no value, it has settled the score already. But short call holder, the score needs to be settled. And that's why they keep the margin. And then for exchange for physicals or against actuals, what you say, it depends on, and this is a question that I have stressed for your midterm exam, for your quiz, is that for the futures contracts, in the futures contract, that is what is going to be the procedure. So to settle. So you can do cash settle, you can do futures settle, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with options. You exercise and say, okay, I would like to buy soybean. And the writers say, I do not have soybean. Then how do they reconcile?
Through cash settlement or futures contracts.
Yeah. Now I'm changing the thing from futures to options. You have a long call and you see that you would like to, the underlying is soybean or underlying is oil. So at that point, I go to the writer. That means short call holder is the writer. Writer would say that, well, you are asking me to deliver crude oil or soybean or whatever the underlying is, and then but I am not prepared to do so. However, what is the response coming at this point in time that will satisfy you? Even though I cannot deliver the things that you want, what can they say? Hmm? David?
Yeah. Can you repeat that question, please?
Okay. I'm looking at here, exchange for physical or against actuals, long and short, agree on an alternative delivery procedure. I'm looking for an alternative delivery procedure. I go to you. You are the writer, okay, or short call holder. I am the long call holder. And come to expiration date, and I go to you and say, I would like to buy the soybean from you. And you say, sorry, I cannot deliver soybean to you. However, what is the alternative you're going to say?
You can sell an option, or
No.
I don't.
Oh, that this is between this contract, right? Buyer of right and seller of right can be. I mean, this is a contract, and government defends all the contracts, so it is litigable. Basically, they can sue. But when they say that I cannot deliver to you because I don't have it, however, you can do this. Isabella? Anybody? You can work in tandem with others. Liz, Isabella, anybody. David.
If you're selling options or if you're selling soybean and you can't deliver the actual soybean, could you deliver the option that you were selling?
No. This is you have already agreed that you are going to deliver soybean or whatever the underlying.
Then I don't know.
I mean, that is when we talked about cash settle and future settle, that is the whole idea. That is, they would say, go ahead. This is the alternative delivery procedure. Go ahead and buy the soybean at a higher price. Strike price is lower. That's why I go to you. That is, yes, option is valuable for me. So you then say, okay, I will, you meaning short call holder will say, okay, go ahead and buy it from open market. And then I will say at that time, no, I won't because it is more expensive. And you promise to deliver it to me at a strike, which is lower price. And then he will say what? I will pay you the difference. So let me give you a concrete example. Strike price is $9 for soybean, right? So I have got the right to buy the underlying at $9 per bushel. Okay? At expiration, I see it is $10 per bushel. So you, the seller or writer, you tell me to go and buy it at what price?
The strike price.
No. Right now, this is the scenario. Scenario is that I ask you to deliver it to me at $9, right? And you say, I cannot deliver. Go ahead and buy it from open market. At what price I will buy from open market? Remember, the strike price is $9. At expiration, soybean is now at $10. So at what price I'm going to buy from open market? You guys are good. Yeah.
At the $10 price.
Yeah. It is kind of, rattling, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to understand it a little bit better.
Yeah. So now you say, okay, I will buy it at $10, but I am at a loss now because you promised to buy, but to sell it to me at $9. So how can I be made whole? I bought it at $10, but I'm lost. So how can I be made whole?
The person would pay you the difference.
Exactly, David. That's it. So am I going to be upset, or I'm going to be okay, fine? It doesn't matter to me whether the soybean is coming through you from David C, or is it coming from open market? It doesn't matter to me. So when you give me the difference, $1 per bushel, then I would say that, well, my effective price is actually what? I bought it at $10, but you gave me $1. So what is my effective price?
$9.
$9. So that is the thing. And that is the whole reason that even though we take the risk management tools, the delivery doesn't take place. What I really needed is some players or some institutions will provide me the amount if the price moves against me. That is the sole idea, right? If the price moves against me, someone is there to provide the difference. Class, is that clear to you?
Yes.
Can you guys tell me through the chat? This is as I said, in futures, exactly same thing happens, and then I stress that something like this will come to your exam. Even as a practice questions, I gave you that. So can you guys go to the chat and tell me that you guys are okay? Please, everybody. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Yeah. All right. If you still have questions, what do you do? Email me. Okay? All right. And then OTC derivatives, the dealers are there, end users. End users means soybean producers and soybean users, bilateral contract. And then you have for OTC market, even there are much less regulation, but this ISDA master agreement governs them. Right, and then you have foreign exchange interest rate forwards and interest rate swaps and interest rate options. Now, you need to say, I mean, there are cash, basically in OTC market, cash settlement happens very, very frequently. And hold on. So you need to look at the role of clearinghouse. Can anybody tell me a little bit more about the role of clearinghouse? It comes between buyers and seller, right? Right? In futures market, it collects the margins from both sides, long and short. For option market, it collects the margins from which side?
Short.
Short side, yeah. So that's the role of clearinghouse. That way, market becomes much more default free. And CME, both CME, CBOT has stellar past. Okay, and then this is daily settlement. It's called mark to market. You have to have initial margin and then maintenance margin. You know that by now while trading. And so you, after that, it is people on a daily basis, the player who is winning will see his margin going up, and who is losing, their margin going down. And so they take the margin from the loser to the winner. And then loser will be asked to replenish. When are they asked to replenish? Let's say soybean has a margin. What is the current margin? Any asset, give me any asset that with current margin. Among the assets that you are trading, does it come to you quickly? If it doesn't, can you just go on Google and say what is the margin for soybean?
Crude oil is $6,050.
Which one?
Crude oil.
Crude oil, $6,050. Is that initial or is that maintenance?
Initial.
Okay. And then maintenance is below that, correct? All the time, maintenance is below that. So why is that? Why is that initial margin is higher and maintenance margin is lower? Because time to time you lose money from your margin account, right? Market can go adversely against you. So the moment it goes and you initial margin, you are off your initial margin and they call you, it becomes a very dysfunctional system. So they say, okay, we'll give you 20% adverse movement. So if it is 6,000, then 4,800 would be your maintenance margin. So you can go through the loss, but you'll be keeping an eye that I'm losing it. And then when you hit 4,800, what will happen?
You have to replenish it.
Yeah, replenish to what level?
The 6,000.
Exactly. You have to bring it back to 6,000. Okay? All right. Now, the mark to market is through which gains and losses are settled and margin call happens when additional funds are needed, and variation in margin happens time to time. Let's see, I mean, whether you are getting a feel for the market. Let's say crude oil becomes extremely volatile, not current volatility, but more than current volatility. What do you think will happen to the margin requirements? Hmm? Margin is for safety, correct? Now, crude oil becomes much more unsafe.
The margin for crude oil shrinks.
No. Margin requirements, I'm asking. Let's say David was saying 6,000 is the initial margin for crude oil and maintenance margin roughly 20% below. So now it is because of the current risk levels. What happens if crude oil becomes highly risky? Let's give you a very out of the ordinary picture. Oil fields in Saudi Arabia is blown out. Will the volatility increase or decrease or remain the same? All the crude oil field in Saudi Arabia has been destroyed by acts of terrorism. What do you think? You know, as you participate in the class, and I will reward you, right? You are aware of it, right? So even if it is a fresh reaction, give your fresh reaction. There is nothing called bad answer. Not in my class. I'll work with that answer.
Would volatility increase?
Yeah. Volatility will increase. And then what happens? What is the impact on the margin requirement? They used to require 6,000, Elizabeth.
So would it increase to make sure people don't lose a lot of money?
Yeah. So the safety requirement increases. So we know that margin can vary, right? Margin can vary. When, on the other hand, market has become tranquil, that means slowly and surely it has come back to steady phase. What do you think? That they will continue to require $6,000 as margin? Or will they decrease it? Clearinghouse will decrease it.
Decrease it?
Yeah. So those are the things. And then mark to market process, you know, in the solutions, there are questions there. So if you guys can do that there, okay. So market participants are market maker. That means people who makes bid and ask. Scalpers who are there for a short time. You know, last time I talked, Michael and I exchanged some, ideas. At that point, the scalping is not a good idea because you guys are so much busy. Floor broker, they are alternatively known as FCMs, but futures commission margin, they do it for others and the traders like you who are doing it. So I am trying to teach you to be a position trader. You take a position, you do the due diligence and take a position. So you generate your own view, right? So you're view driven. And arbitrageurs are, of course, that you know the fundamentals very well. That means whether the cost of carry model is violated, right, for the futures, or Black-Scholes market is violated for the options. Did you get my last comments about the traders?
Yes.
You are the position traders. Right now, whatever you have done, I was training you to be a position trader with a view, right? You do the normal backwardation, then you see the basis support for that. And when you get that, then you have a view that market is going to go low, up, therefore go long. You have a view.
Yeah.
And same thing with win model that, well, this is the right time to go. And arbitrageurs are who? Who looks at, let's say, for the model that you have, cost of carry model, left-hand side is the futures price, right-hand side is the spot price, spot side of it. And if you say that futures is greater than the spot, then arbitrage takes place. There was a question on that on your exam, midterm exam, right? Not midterm exam, in the quiz. You recall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
that's
the final question.
yeah, final question, exactly. Just because it is in quiz doesn't mean that it will not be in midterm. Do you see what I'm saying? So take quiz and other things that you have gone through the course seriously for your midterm. Okay. And then there is a transaction cost, and you'll see the transaction cost out there. And that is the beauty of the real-time trading, that they will compute the transaction cost. And I would like you to look at those, floor trading, clearing fees, commissions, bid and ask spread, delivery costs, and taxes. Regulation are there. I have a question for you. You guys play, right? I mean, Michael was saying that he was in golf outing. So, do you play for our for SXU?
Me?
Yeah.
No, it was it was like an alumni. It's basically
Yeah. That
yeah, I
that's
don't play football.
okay.
I play football, and my coach asked if I could help out because they needed some people to help check in.
Oh, good. Okay. So you play football. All right. So, do you think that whenever you play your opponent and there is no referee in there is a good system?
No, it wouldn't really work.
Why isn't it a good system?
I think there would be a lot of like cheap shots and trying to, cheat, trying to say they're somewhere they're not supposed to, or especially like in football, if there's like a debatable catch between a wide receiver and a defender, everybody's gonna be arguing, and there's nobody to really like regulate anything.
Yeah. Okay. Now that's one thing. Okay, fine. So you think that there is a need for referee, right, in a game?
Yeah.
Okay. Class, do you agree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good. You may even say that, this is a rhetorical question, actually. No. This is very, very profound question, because the next question will make this profound. Do you want your coach to be the referee?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
You want your coach to be referee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you always want somebody on your side.
Will the opponent accept that?
No.
No.
Okay. So you have to distinguish between coach and referee. You agree that in a game there has to be a referee, but a coach cannot be referee. You see that? Now, what happens is you understand this financial markets, any market is a game. Why it is a game? It has a rules and regulations. Like Microsoft cannot go out there and take the wind out of many browser makers. In fact, they tried to do that with Netscape. Netscape was a browser that was generated by UFI freshmen. And as a student, you guys are really out there to help the community, help the world. And so he was offering this, and then million people subscribed. So people looked at it, and especially Microsoft, and they told that student that, well, can you sell it to me? Because Microsoft was struggling with their Explorer. And they said, no, I'm made this for people to benefit. Then the other investors came in and they also say, okay, why don't you are missing a point. You have a valuable product out there. Make it your own and you can make money. So they convinced them and Netscape was officially born. Microsoft tried again to take Netscape over because it was far superior to Explorer. Then what happened? At that time, Bill Gates was there. When incentive did not work, they resorted to, what do you think? Threats. And threat was one of the piece that was written by Bill Gates, take the wind out of Netscape. That means suffocate them to death. How? They will go ahead and ask because it's Microsoft, all the people who are supporting Netscape, back off. And then the court went to, people went to court and they won against Microsoft. This is called antitrust law. So whenever you are competing, there are laws out there. There are referee out there, which is protecting this game. If a corporation makes a chemical product and dumps it on the local river, they cannot do that. They will be penalized. So this is all about protecting the public. So what the upshot of this discussion is, there is a game called financial market. In that financial market has to have referee, not coach. They do not need the government to coach them to build this, build that, or this way or that way. They need a referee who can blow the whistle when things are wrong. They blew the whistle when Microsoft did something wrong. Did I make my point here?
Yes.
Okay, good. So SEC was created for regulating this securities and options. And then there is regulations from the Department of Agriculture. Then for futures, specifically commodity futures trading, and Dodd-Frank Wall Street reform and consumer protection, because it builds a firewall between different segments of the corporations. We say that, well, those are all for transparency and clearing and reducing systematic risk. So there is something that is out there. So in summary, we have gone through types of derivatives and how derivatives market happened. Please make sure that whatever I said about why you need derivatives, you understand it, because there is something can be tested. Then you have exchange listed derivatives. You have over-the-counter derivatives. And why do you have over-the-counter derivatives? To promote innovations. Then clearing and settlement, we have gone through market participant transaction cost. And we haven't gone through too much of a taxes, but taxes are part of it, and regulation of derivatives market. So folks, any questions?
No, not for me.
Okay. And if you need, sorry?
I said I have no questions.
Yeah, I know, Kevin.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I heard some other noises. So, yeah.
My bad.
All right, folks, and good luck with trading. My comment today is feel the market, enjoy it, as if you are in great America taking a ride. Enjoy it. Don't be scared.
Professor,
Yeah.
I got a quick question. So when we're doing that the analysis thing at the end of the week when we do our trades, so say if we notice a trend that it goes up and down and we're trying to buy at the down and we sell at the up, but it's the same stock over and over again, like not within like a 30-minute period, with like 24-hour kind of period.
Yeah.
We have to do it for each the analysis, like each trade, or if we're kind of
No. You say that, well, we adopted basically technical trading. This is called technical trading.
Yeah.
We adopted, let's say, imagine there is a wave. So
Yeah.
there is a peak and there is a trough, right?
Yeah.
So if you're astute enough to identify that peak, identify the peak. Let's say you understood that is the peak. Then you sell at the peak, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's what when you said that you knew, like besides the win analysis graph, that we need to find like a unique kind of thing. I think that's what Justin was asking, because we think we found one. It worked the first time we tried it, but we're going to continue trying it, and then if it keeps working, then we're going to do that. So basically, I want to make sure, because we're doing it on like 3 or 4 different things right now, and basically I just wanted to make sure like that we would summarize it right for the analysis at the end of the week.
Yeah, sure. You can say that well, we have the ability to identify the peak and the trough. Then you explain what is your ability.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a crucial. If somebody can have that knowledge that this is the peak, great.
Yeah, I think we're kind of onto that. It worked today, but we're gonna see the rest of the week.
Wonderful. But then again, don't forget, feel the market and enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. And have a nice weekend. And I put the last recording up there, and I'll put today's too. Okay? Just to help if you want to go revisit it. Okay. Thank you.